Hello, my name is Kayti Burt. I'm the books editor at denofgeek.com, and we are here at San Diego Comic-Con with Rachel Caine.
Hello, how are you this morning?
I'm good. What are you here at Comic-Con this year promoting?
I have a book called Smoke and Iron that just came out with Penguin Random House, and it is the fourth book in the Great Library series. And then I also have another book that I co-wrote with Anna Guire that is called Honor Among Thieves that came out earlier in the year, and it is the first book in a new trilogy about outer space adventures and sentient living spaceships.
You do tend to write a lot of series. Would you say that's where your interest as a storyteller lie, or is that more of a consequence of your books are doing well? We would like to have more of those books.
I do like series. I think it's sort of a movies versus TV thing. And if you're like me, you binge watch Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime, or you tend to get attached to characters and you want to know more about them. So for me as a writer, it's an exploration of the lives of those characters. And I do like standalone novels, and I do them, but usually it's a very self-contained idea. The bigger the world, the longer the series, it seems like. And yeah, I have gone 15 books in one series. So,
and in your Great Library series, it's a reality where the Great Library of Alexandria survived and now controls all of the books and knowledge of the world. Yeah, I'm curious if that wanting to tell a story like that was very much informed by the real world and how information is controlled and disseminated here.
It certainly was, but the curious thing about that series is it started in my brain about 10 years ago, but it was just an isolated scene, kind of like a still from a movie, and I really couldn't figure out what was driving the story, and it wasn't connected to the Great Library at all until I started just sort of randomly reading things, and suddenly I said, oh, that makes sense. Now I know where my story's coming from, because I knew nothing about the Great Library of Alexandria except what most people know, which is it burned. It was a tragedy. Oh no! But the actual underpinnings of that are so much deeper and more interesting because it was not an altruistic sort of establishment. It really was meant to enhance the power of the ruler. I wasn't aware that there were competing libraries, like the library at Pergamum, which is now Turkey, was almost as big, and they were fighting over original scrolls from scholars to the point that one guy just got disgusted and buried all his work in his backyard. Those kinds of stories just keep you going. So I'm very passionate about that series because I think it is not only interesting historically, but also very relevant to modern times in this discussion about information.
Now I'm just thinking of the phrase like library wars. And librarians have a lot of power in the publishing industry. They decide which books are going to be in a library, and that's a huge part of the business. What kind of feedback have you gotten from librarians?
The interesting thing is my librarians in this series some of them are really great, and some of them are quite evil, to the point of, perhaps they're dictator, despot, level. But the librarians have been really enthusiastic about it, and so have the school librarians. I love that the first book got picked for the Texas reading list for one of the big lists for that, and I was getting called to schools to talk to the kids because they were going to actually compete with other schools based on their knowledge about this book. and one of my teams won, so I'm very excited.
I was curious why you like writing for young adults so much.
I'll be honest, when I first started, I was writing adult urban fantasy. And my editor at Penguin, Ann Soward, said, you ought to try writing young adult. And I said, I don't know if I have the voice for that. And she said, I think you already do. And I was like, I don't know what that means. But then I realized what she was really talking about was the ability to sort of get into the character deeply and engage the reader, because younger readers really want to be close to those characters. They want to have stakes, and you have to get them quick. I guess the thing that affected me most was when I went to my first young adult book signing, and I realized these kids were coming up and saying, "This is the first book I ever loved." And I thought, that's a tremendous responsibility, and it's also a tremendous gift for an author, I think. I can't imagine anything more fundamental than that.
Well, thank you so much for talking with me. Where can people find you online if they want to keep up to date with what you're doing?
Probably the easiest is Twitter, so at Rachel Caine. It's pretty easy. And then also I have a Facebook fan page for Rachel Caine. You can go to my website at rachelcaine.com, and then there's also a great library special website, and that one's called enterthelibrary.com.